Hey there, boys, girls, and flying squirrels. My name's Joe Keyport, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. For this week's episode of the Ear Coffee Podcast, I talked to Jordan Wipf and Brett Carey of the band Kelvin Heights. Last year, the band released their album Worst Calligraphy, which marked a shift in the band's direction and sound. When I talked to the duo last year during that album cycle, they had mentioned that they are working on new material, and that material grew to become the new album Talented Son. Along with our general chat about the record, we got to step back and get some insight into the friendship that Jordan and Brett have. This interview is definitely one of my favorite interviews. This is Jordan Wipf and Brett Carey of the band Kelvin Heights on the Ear Coffee Podcast. So it's been kind of almost a year, little less than a year since you've released your last record, Worst Calligraphy. Kind of looking back on that, how has that aged? What are you guys' thoughts on that as kind of the months have gone on and you've sat on that material?
Well, initially, I think that we had already forgotten about Worst Calligraphy for the most part by the time we had released it. Like, it was, like, it sounds bad, but it was almost an afterthought to release it because we were already focused on newer stuff, like the stuff that we are releasing soon here and other ideas and projects. And so Worst Calligraphy, like, we kind of had to remind ourselves to release it. So that being said, I think there hasn't been a whole lot of...
Because you were supposed to release that in like January of 2017, and
I think we were shooting for February 2017, and then it just didn't get out until August.
Yeah, gotcha.
We're too lazy SOBs.
Because when we were talking last September, you were already recording probably what turned into this record.
I would say so. Yeah, most of these ideas had been pretty much all but fleshed out at that point.
Because how much did you sit on this material a while before starting to even play it live, or was it as soon as you started like finalizing it, maybe to tape or to digital? You were playing it for audiences?
Yeah, I can't really remember how it happened.
I think we kind of came up with the song that eventually became When You Think of Me. We were just honestly like, it was the classic, we were just in the space hanging out, banging around, and then it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Like, we just kind of ripped it out, like, or a very early version of it.
Yeah.
And then we started playing that live. It was kind of our last song. We would always kind of play it last because it was super high energy and super dancey and fun. And then things just kind of grew out of that. So that was kind of, that felt like the
that was kind of the synthesis for everything.
Yeah, the sticking point. That's like what kind of everything was then culminated around.
Gotcha.
And then we just decided to take it a couple different directions, as is evident on the record.
Was that like writing that material? Was that like you two again working on stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So who's in the band now? Since we last talked, it's kind of changed. You have another guitar player and a bassist.
Yeah.
Bassist.
I mean, like, logistically, it's just Jordan and I working on the music, but for live, we have my buddy Sam, who plays guitar, and then Jordan Wynn, so we got two Jordans.
Okay. Two Jordan W's in the same band.
Wow.
He plays bass, and then we got Karsten.
Yeah.
Which I think you know Karsten.
Karsten, the tried and true.
Yeah, everyone knows Karsten.
Mr. Dependable.
He does almost a little bit of everything in the band.
Yeah. When he can play, he's so busy.
Yeah, he's so busy, but when he can just step in, he can
Karsten,
hop on really whatever.
Karsten,
Karsten,
if you're listening to this, don't be as busy.
Karsten, we love you. Just give us more of your attention.
Put your life on hold for the band exclusively.
No, he's got
like you don't even care
legitimate
anymore.
reasons to be busy.
Yeah. But yeah, for all intents and purposes,
it's just
Brett
you guys. Yeah.
Still, yeah.
So the new record is titled Talented Son, and you said the sticking point for a lot of that was When You Think of Me, or what became When You Think of Me.
Yeah.
Did you guys then just lock yourselves away and just work on this, or was this kind of coming in like starts and fits? Because I know Worst Calligraphy was it started as an EP that grew into an album as you more and more came out of you, or was this kind of a same idea, just you had a ton of inspiration, or was it we would write something, we'd put it away for a while, work on it, put it away for a while? How did that come together?
I think it was kind of a similar process, although you were a lot more hands-on.
I was definitely more hands-on with this one rather than just kind of coming in and Brett flailing his arms like directing me to do it, telling me like what to do when. And so this one, I'd say the majority of things got started. Brett usually does like 80% of the work right away, and we get all sorts of demos and things tracked. And that was nice for this time around because I was able to sit on things for a little more time than worse calligraphy. Yeah. And I was able to, work things out a little bit more and be intentional about those things. And then once we had like the big heavy lifting done, which was, like I said, the first, we got the big chunk of things done, then we just kind of let them sit and let them resonate and marinate with us a little bit more. And from there, it comes like the last 20% of fine-tuning and tweaking. But the majority of the heavy lifting gets done pretty much almost what feels like right away in this whole process. I think it came much more naturally than Worst Calligraphy did.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know why that was.
Well, it's because of you.
Aw, Brett.
Oh. No, you don't have to do the aw. Well, I don't know. Worst Calligraphy was like, I don't know. Going back to your first question about it, it hasn't really aged as well as I thought it would, which is fine. I mean, it's a good album, but I don't know. This like actually feels like what it's supposed to feel. I don't know. It's just because it's like the way I think of it is my brain is distortion and feedback and noise, and it's like this giant brick, and then Jordan comes in and shaves the brick into like a actual functioning thing. Because like I don't know. Every time I write a song, it gets worse and worse, and just kind of sillier and not as good, which is awesome. I like that. I don't know. I just
for example, I think so. When you came to me with the demo of "Keep the Light On,"
oh, that's my favorite one.
"Keep the Light On" kind of started with just noise, like this huge chaotic wall of just nothingness and everything all happening at once.
It's like an acoustic guitar that's not "Keep the Light On." Shoot, it's like a looped kind of like a guitar, like you like just like strum the strings, like muted.
Right.
That one's with the piano. Keep the light
on. It's
on.
like the piano in the music box type sound.
Yeah.
And it started like how the original demo is Brett just had it start with like this crazy, like what the song eventually gets to. But I was like, how about you? I think I had suggested something along the lines of maybe we start somewhere a little more pointed and a little more like directional, and then let it build up to be.
Your first words were, "I hate this."
Well, yeah, no. I came up to it and I hated it immediately. Yeah. I told him that I hated it,
which was good. I'm glad you did,
because nobody used to tell you that.
Well, yeah,
nobody. You're not used to. At least you weren't used to people telling you that. But
no, yeah, it's good.
And then after that, I was like, I really like the idea of maybe starting like childish and childlike and playful, but like also creepy.
Yeah.
So what can we do? Music box.
Music. Yeah.
And then from there, you kind of add the layers on of the piano, and then from there, the more acoustic guitar, and then it just kind of swirls out of control. And that's kind of what I think we were looking for.
But now you like it.
And now I like it. And now it feels very, very at home in this collection of songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that like no one like Brett would tell you what they thought of your stuff. How was that initially to like maybe not have everybody say yes to something, but like to like butt heads with someone creatively on a project? Was that, do you feel you take criticism well, or was that something that was kind of a learning curve once Kelvin Heights turned into what it is now, or as it was turning into what it is now?
I don't really know. I think, how do I put it? It's like you kind of have to figure out what is criticism and what is opinion.
Yeah.
Or I guess they could be similar. I mean, in the sense of like, the people that I worked with before for Calvin Heights, it wasn't so much like, oh, let's try to take that idea and make it better. It's more just, I don't like that idea and I don't want to do it.
Okay.
And that to me was kind of like, okay, well, not all of my ideas are totally crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and so someone is going to be able to refine that.
Yeah.
You know, and working with Jordan definitely does that. He sees the beauty inside of what's actually there and is able to pull that out. And in some ways better than I can, which is awesome. And that's why I love working with Jordan, is because it like this album truly feels like it's not just me or it's not just Jordan, it's the both of us together. And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess, yeah, it's just, you know, there's a difference in oh, I don't want to do this versus let's take that idea and run with it, but like make it better.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it kind of did hurt when they didn't want to do what I was trying to achieve. And especially because for a while, those same people that were like officially a part of the band Calvin Heights, when they weren't anymore, they were just kind of like playing as musicians for hire for me.
Yeah.
And they like still were in that opposition, and it was kind of like, but this is my thing.
Yeah.
You know? And that kind of hurt a little bit, but I think, I don't know.
It was just trying to find that like when like criticism was like constructive and not just a critique to critique.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
I think there's too much of a thing in the music collective or whatever. I don't even know if I'm not a part of that anymore. But it's like there's this thing of, I feel like everyone almost feels like that there has to be critique all the time.
I was talking to Wes, one of the co-creator, co-writer, co-producer of the thing that is Ear Coffee. And it's like, it seems academic and intelligent to not like something.
Yeah.
And so that's why critiques are always so much more popular than positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I rarely, when we on Ear Coffee, Wes is more okay with it, but like I rarely try to do like focus on anything I don't like, because why do I want to, except for the last Hippocampus record. I may have hated that band over 500 words. But no, like, I don't know. There's no point in like putting any. There's no real necessity always to just critique it just for something negative. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's definitely listening to it, because I've listened to the record 3.5 to 4 times. You can definitely tell there's intentional decisions made on this, because one thing that struck me was a lot of the. I wrote this weirdly in like my notes here, but I was taken back on how rhythmic the album is, because there's a lot of just intense downbeats to a song. It's like it's a slowly like plodding machine that's just going to keep moving, as opposed to like in the last record, it was a lot of like ethereal, abstract things, and you could hear like an eighth note or just a 16th rock time kind of thing in the background. But it's definitely much more. You can hear where everything is coming together.
Yeah, that was to be so on the beat was very intentional thing. Although that was a lot of the ways that Brett wrote a lot of these songs initially, was just in your face, like marching, like you said it yourself, just keep going, and nothing you really can think of is going to stop what is happening. Like
specifically, like the opening track, "Man of Your Dreams." It's just this, like, it's just the slow march. Even when there's no drums, it's just a bass or a guitar rhythm track. There can be swirling feedback and everything else, but there's going to be this march, which was very. From listening to a lot of your guys' music, it's something I didn't expect to hear right away.
Yeah, that's honestly kind of probably my favorite thing about this record. Is it's I don't know. I guess personally for me, I got so sick of ambient music and kind of doing it.
I get sick of ambient music.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm always just looking to do something new because it's just fun, and it's always a challenge. And I think I remember that song I wrote on a whim. I was at my parents' house in Kansas, and I just I just started writing this riff, and it was all accidental. And the lyrics are like probably my favorite lyrics on the record, actually, because it's like I don't even think of it as the first track. I think of it as like an intro to the album. Because, I mean, technically it is the first track, but I feel like the story doesn't start there. That's like setting the scene.
Yeah, that's definitely the prologue.
Yeah,
it's preface of the story.
Exactly.
That is Talented Son. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then the first part of the story is really, the second song, Clouds.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I just loved it because it was so anti-Calvin Heights, and it was very rhythmic, and and you could hear the vocals. You could hear them like bright in the mix, and I was like, I don't want reverb. I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit on there, but like you can clearly hear it, and the drums are so tight, and honestly, I listen to this record and I just constantly think how tight Jordan's drumming is. Like he's just a machine, a monster on those drums. And I don't know. I think this record, I wanted it to be very concise, very like to the point. And I think because of that, it became a lot more cohesive too. And the story actually is a lot more cohesive than Worst Calligraphy ever was. And
I think the problem with Worst Calligraphy was that we couldn't really get inside the mind of the character.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really have any, like, hey, this is what he's about, this is how it feels, or this is his perspective on things. Whereas in this project, Man of Your Dreams is very much like, okay, this is the point of view. This is
like entering the world.
This is who this character is. This is how they see things. Take this and let it be the context for how the character experiences the rest of the project, the rest of the songs.
One of the things that I thought of while listening to this record is when you think of me and Seasons Changed, that single was released was it December or was it January?
Yeah, it was just before Christmas.
It was just before Christmas.
Yeah.
We talked about just kind of how it was such a, like, there's a beginning and an end, and there's a definite beginning and end, and how you both were wrestling with the idea of fitting like the experimental nature of your band into almost a quote pop format, end quote. So like, how was that working while putting this album together? Because you can definitely tell that you guys have been like wrestling with trying to make yourself maybe not more accessible, but like easier to digest, but like not throwing out what Calvin Heights was on Worst Calligraphy. Like, how did that go about?
I think it was definitely, just naturally, organically, me having more of a say in the album, and bringing in my own sounds and my own influences, not my personal influences, but the people who influence me and the sounds I'm emulating.
Yeah.
And I think that just happened organically because I was able, like Brett mentioned before, take the brick of chaos that is his creative energy, and I was able to, create a little slot for it to fit through, shave off some of the rough edges. And that just kind of gave it a natural sense of direction and grounding in context. I think having somebody going wild and somebody kind of rearing it back kind of made it so that it felt like a cohesive piece and not just the fever dream of one person.
Yeah.
I think that might have answered your question. But
What did you think of this record? You can be honest if you don't like it.
Like you're really the first critical person that we can think of that's heard
I've been still listening to it as I've been like digging through it, and I definitely like it a lot more than Worst Calligraphy. Not that I hate it, because it's still one of my favorite records of 2017.
Thank you.
Because like, I don't know, I'm a sucker for local music to begin with, and then like It's one of my favorites that I have revisited a bunch of times. So like definitely when you think of me is probably one of my favorites off that track. And then Cacophony, when I was listening to that today, because when I first listened to it, I thought it was just another 8-minute. I'd listened to a bunch of like shoegazy kind of gloom pop tracks, and so
gloom pop. I learn new things every time I hang out with you guys. Gloom pop.
I didn't know that was a genre until listening to Another Heaven, a local shoegaze band, and like listening to it at first, I was like, it's interesting. It's just a long track, but there's so much like decisions and direction that goes into this. That was just the more you sit with it, I think the better it gets.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that was definitely what we were shooting for with Cacophony. What did it start called as? I see. The thing is I can't talk about these names because we come up with the names later. Yeah, the working titles. So we have these working titles.
That one was jokingly titled Masterpiece.
Oh, Masterpiece. That's
Masterpiece.
Right. Yeah.
Not that it was arrogant, but no. I definitely thought at the time it was the best song I'd written.
And you definitely wanted it to be like that anthemic.
Yeah.
Like building.
It's kind of
driving.
It's the highlight. It's the big piece of the record.
Sure, yeah.
It was going to be the last track.
It was going to be the last track, and then I think we had both agreed that Talented Son, in the end, was more appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not musically, but definitely narratively.
Yeah. I think musically too, though.
Yeah.
Talented Son, that track, I was going to be doing some solo stuff, which is kind of usually how this all happens.
Yeah.
I was just going to be doing stuff for fun, and I just wrote that one. There's actually an alternate version that I don't even know if Jordan's heard of Talented Son that probably will appear elsewhere.
Okay.
For Calvin Heights. I like to do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's an alternate version that had parts of what's on the track.
Okay.
As well as it has like a whole other.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that.
You've heard that?
Because I remember.
It kind of almost has like a piano pop.
No, because it's super mellow and super like, oh, shit. Oh. Like it's.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect it to come out of Brett's brain.
Okay.
And so I said, let's go ahead and wrap this up and put a nice bow on it and just put it under the stairs for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then come back to it because I think it was special and it was different.
Okay.
Than the rest of Talented Son and the rest of the tone that Talented Son was, and I was like, this is its own thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I definitely we agreed to revisit that.
I got you.
Because it was just its own entity.
Okay.
I think.
And then one of the things, again, when you released your single in December, was trying to fit rawness, like the rawness of playing live, into a record. Just because you'll go see a band live and they have the energy of a room full of people, and just the endorphins from playing live. But you'll listen to them on record, and it's not the same. It's depending on the music, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
So how, and you could tell there's a lot more. Did you play a lot of this live, or was this?
I played some of it.
Okay.
I think the big thing is that we actually practiced these songs before we recorded them. Yeah. As opposed to last time, I would sit down and be like, okay, Brett, what's the direction?
I gotcha.
And so he had these things in his head.
Yeah.
So this time we actually were able to practice and we fleshed things out face to face.
Yeah.
With just the guitar, the amp, and the drum set in the basement, and we were able to feel the energy that we're supposed to be aiming for and kind of balance it off of each other, and then finally press record and let it go. So I think we always pretty much started with tracking drums first, but I knew the actual dynamics of what I was shooting for.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of natural energy just comes from that, just because I'm actually performing, like I'm thinking about how I'm playing it.
Yeah.
Because this is how I have been playing it, rather than like, I think I did the same thing I did last time that Brett liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because thinking, like, when listening to this record and thinking back to when I've seen you guys play a lot of these songs, maybe not a lot of them, but like playing these songs in front of people, it almost seems one for one, especially like When You Think of Me and some of those others, that it's hard to find on records, especially something maybe. This isn't as like on the fly, this record probably, but like that when it comes to music, that is, a lot of it is created in the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, when you think of me, I would say Clouds. I would say the music for Man of Your Dreams. All of those kind of came about pretty sporadically, would you say?
Yeah.
Like, they all, maybe not so much Man of Your Dreams.
Yeah.
But definitely Clouds and When You Think of Me came about just from chucking things out there and seeing what stuck.
Yeah. Clouds was a weird one. For the longest time, I hated it, and that's why I really liked it. Because that for me was a version of that, the closest thing I could get to a pop song.
Okay.
And then people would be like, "No, it's not a pop song," and I was like kind of disappointed. But I hated it because I hated how clear and concise it was.
And it was fun.
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is too fun. You can't have fun.
Like
Jordan's
pulling ghost notes on the snare. Like,
oh man, those ghost notes get me every time.
The ghost notes are not a Calvin Heights type sound.
Yeah.
I think we talked about ghost notes last time, or not? Maybe not last time.
I don't know.
Maybe not. But like that was the first Calvin Heights song that was really like straightforward drum, like groove, not just a beat, but it was like a groove.
Yeah.
And there was a pocket, and you could play inside of it, outside of it, and I think that's what Brett hated about it at first, was that it was like very. Yeah. It was a little more technical than what we're used to playing, just bashing eighth notes on the cymbal and floor tom or whatever we do for most other songs, but.
Well, that's why I knew we had to record it, was because of how much I hated it.
Yeah.
I was like, everything inside of me would not do this, and that's how I need to stretch myself. It's like, even though I know I don't like it right now, I mean, I think that song's brilliant, honestly. The lyrics, the vibe of it, and I don't know. Yeah. It's weird. I've realized too lately I've been really just trying to be inspired by youth. Wow, it's such a broad term. Specifically, because I'm always writing music. I actually have. I played some of the stuff for Jordan. He thinks it's just bananas, but I have like a solo thing that I actually do want to release, like a bunch of demos. We have an old track. I have an old track from the album that didn't make the cut, which is good because it's definitely not the vibe of the album. But I think I have Jordan's permission.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the fourth time you've asked me for permission.
Probably.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's your work, dude.
Yeah, so I have like a demos thing that's extremely, extremely experimental. Like it's just like feedback and stuff. But it's good because it's like, I don't know.
He's getting it out somewhere else, so he doesn't have to get it out with the stuff that my name is also printed on.
Yeah, and it's... I don't know, but then the other day my dad found this cassette called Brett Drums, Anna Sings, Dad Guitar, or something like that. And it was us as kids, so I'm like super little, and I'm banging on these toy drums or whatever, and my sister's singing, and my dad's playing guitar. And my sister started singing this song about the star planet. And I was like, what is the star planet?
What is the star planet?
So I was like so intrigued by it. And so I started writing this thing, and now my girlfriend Elise and I are going to be pursuing a project together about the star planet. And she and I have been wanting to write music for forever, so it's like we're finally doing it. But it's like
she is on this record too.
Yeah, she is. She sings on what's it called? Wasted Sun.
Wasted Sun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like I'm so inspired by like that idea of youth and like what we thought of as kids, because it's like. We didn't care. Yeah.
You didn't have that, like, the things to, like, make fun of what you were doing. You just could create without any sort of cares.
And it was just fun. And it's like, I think I burnt myself out musically. We were playing like 5 shows last month or something, and I kind of had to say, hey, let's take a break. Because I like had a nervous breakdown during one of the shows, and it was really bad.
Yeah, I didn't even know if we were going to be playing, because it was probably within a minute and a half before we were about to play at that show at the drop-off.
Okay. Yeah.
And Brett's guitar wasn't plugged in. He wasn't around. And then he came up. He was about to plug in, and he just looked at me. He's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I was like, I understood, because the amount of energy Brett pours into these things live, like, I'm a drummer, and I'm sweating my balls off, but I'm, I don't know, Brett kind of transitions into a different energy state during live shows, and I feel as if it's like, I've never heard anybody speak in tongues, but I feel as if this would be comparable to what it would look like.
I gotcha. Yeah.
It's just energy is pouring from somewhere that we don't know the source of.
It's definitely like it's another version of you once you step on stage.
Yeah.
And it's goofy, the kind of the dichotomy between us, because I'm still like the weird dude in the back, like trying to get the crowd to laugh whenever I can, and Brett's like,
yeah.
Where am I?
I don't know. I just got burnt out.
Okay.
And yeah.
Was that what was leading up to what happened when you guys played like 1.5 songs at the Kitty Cat Club?
That was weird. That we like, for some reason the venue was like closing early or something.
Oh, really?
I don't know what happened.
the Sunday night crowd just wasn't what they anticipated it to be.
Yeah. Because you couldn't play that show.
Yeah, I was heading out on a flight.
Yeah, and so we had friends step in, but we didn't have time to rehearse with him, and it just was like, I don't know. I feel really bad about that show, because I think some of the band members were really offended by it. I thought it was just kind of like, that was after I said we need to take a break.
Okay.
So I was just like kind of not even with it. I was just like ready to be done, and I was I was just having fun. So I felt bad about it, because some of the band members said, like, if I ever saw a band do that, I would never see them again. Because we just like didn't really even play. We like played the song, and you played 2 songs.
Yeah, like you're getting to the end of When You Think of Me, and it just
yeah. It probably didn't look very good.
I didn't care. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I couldn't really tell it. Like not that. Like I couldn't tell that something was off, other than you came up to the show before us, and you're like, I think we're just going to be playing to you, Wes, and Elise. I think your girlfriend's name is.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
there.
and so I was like, oh, he doesn't seem too happy about this. And then once you, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I actually wasn't upset, because like, I mean, I work at a local cafe.
Yeah.
So I get it, like local venues. I think, sometimes you have to make decisions where you're like, hey, we got to close up early, save money and stuff like that. Obviously if it's like every time, that kind of gets a little much. And but I mean, we've played there many times and we've had good luck.
Yeah.
So
that's a fun little room. I don't care. I don't care if it's 3 people in there. Or,
okay.
Oh yeah.
45, however many can comfortably stand in there.
Not a lot.
No.
It's a great space.
Yeah. And it's just a weird area, like a weird space too. It's kind of like, I always joke that it's like the same as like a church youth group. They just have furniture that ends up in the room.
Yeah.
And nobody cares enough about it to take it out.
It's just like a bunch of couches that got left.
The stains aren't too bad in this one. Let's put this over by the pinball machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think
it was just kind of the culmination of a lot of just a long, just few weeks.
Yeah, we were playing like once or twice a week that month, I guess. Yeah. And
which I mean, to touring musicians is they would laugh at that.
Yeah.
But we're not touring musicians. We're just guys who have fun and make music, and
because this is do you ever want this to be your main gig, or do you want this to just kind of be like your...
I don't even know anymore.
That we've put a lot of thought and a lot of conversations into that.
Yeah.
And the more we talk about it and the more it's been a conversation, I think, at least for myself personally, the more I've realized that that's not necessarily the lifestyle that I want. Like, it just sounds to me like it's unfulfilling.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it just doesn't pan out unless you're playing to 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium.
It's all about luck.
Yeah. And it's not even like oh darn, we missed our boat, or darn, if only like we worked harder. That's not so much our goal. It's like our goal is to be creative and be in a space where we can create what the feelings and the thoughts in our brains are telling us to create, and put it out there for people to tap into if they feel so led.
And like, you guys have the opportunity to, like, you can hang out in a studio and just create and then play every once in a while, but like and it's good to do that, just also being like really, really good friends. Like, it keeps us it keeps our relationship nice and fun and light, and it's like we don't have pressure on ourselves to be like, the label wanted 3 more singles before the summer's over. Like, it's nice.
That's the thing too, is like Jordan and I are both like in positions where we're kind of making big life decisions with significant others. You know, and so both him and I are, you know, gonna soon be, you know, trying to support a family. And I think for me, going through that process of that decision, I don't know. I guess I can't speak for Jordan.
You can go ahead.
But like, for me, like, as the more I think about that, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, the dream is right in front of me. The dream is with this person. And it's like, I don't want anything else. Like, if I had to give that up for like a month, you know, where I have to like go, you know, go away and not see them, it's like, that's not worth it to me. And I mean, maybe if the opportunity comes knocking, I'll have to face that when it happens, but I don't think I want it
right now. It's just not.
Priorities are shifting. And we're realizing, I think we're both at that age. I'm 25, you're 24,
23.
I don't even know how old
I'm young.
Maybe myself more than Brett, but like my prefrontal cortex is like at the point where it's almost like the oven's up being turned off. It's done. And ding, your brain is done. Your decision-making skills are completely ripe. Like, for me, definitely, like, I just got engaged a week and a half ago, and it's been thrilling, and it's been like everything that I've wanted it to be. And I'm like what Brett said, like, the thing that's right in front of me is what I actually want. And I know that it's what is like satisfying to me and makes me content. Or not content, but like it's the readjustment of priorities, I'd say.
I gotcha.
But I mean, like what Brett said, if an opportunity arises and presents itself to do like a 2 or 3 week, just to like 2 or 3 week tour, just to see what things are like, then that's something that we'll have to address, because we both love playing music. We both love working with other people that play music and are creative, and if an opportunity comes up where it facilitates us being with our women and also being in a place of creating, then so be it, and we'll deal with it when we do.
Are both of your significant others creators of some sort, or?
Mine not so much.
Okay.
She creates glowing skin on patients. She works in the medical field, and I love her to death. She's definitely a creative individual, like just in general. Maybe not so much like concrete, like this is the painting I just did, or this is the guitar track I just came up with. But she definitely thinks creatively.
Okay, I gotcha. And then and is Elise is she a musician of?
Yeah, she's probably the best singer I know.
What?
She's got...
Better than me?
I'm sorry, Jordan. Yeah, no, she's got the most incredible voice, and she plays piano.
Okay.
Yeah, but she's very creative, and she and I, like I mentioned, she and I have been wanting to work together for a really long time on stuff. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm going to be asking her important questions soon. So.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, she already knows, so it's not like she's going to listen to this and be like, what?
No,
Wait.
yeah.
Wait.
I think that was implied, too, in the other stuff. But
Surprise? Yeah. No, I gotcha.
Yeah, so... but yeah, what... I had a thought. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I guess the biggest thing... And this is probably more for my sake than it is Jordan's, but... It's more of just the shift of my thinking in terms of like I used to think that like music is like how I'm gonna make it in life, and I'm never really achieved or I'm never fully arrived until I make it in music. And I think being with Elise, she's really helped me see the other side of that, being like, you know what? You're already doing what you want.
Yeah.
Like I'm already making crazy albums that make people uncomfortable, and I'm already, playing shows. Like what more can I really want? And plus I like the intimacy of the small shows anyways, So I kind of have just stopped caring. And it's like this thing of I don't care to make it. And then that puts so much less pressure on Jordan and I, because I've known like my cousins to be in bands, and then the bands break up because the husband and wife were like a duo or something, and then they were like married and had kids and stuff. And so then my cousin didn't have a band. I'm talking about some very specific incident, obviously, but not the generalized music scene. But like it's like this thing of, well, I think the reason that happens is because people have the assumption of like, oh, you can either do it to try to make it, or you just like, what's the point? But it's like, I mean, maybe it'll get to the point where even playing a show, once every few months or something is too hectic. I don't know. But I mean, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
The plan is we're just going to keep doing it until we just really can't.
Yeah.
And for us right now, that just seems so like that it's just going to work.
Yeah.
That just works for
even
us.
If we play once a year, I don't really care. Yeah. What does it matter?
Yeah.
I'm sure we could get one gig a year, right?
Yeah, we could line something up maybe.
and then obviously in our free time, when we have the capabilities to record, I mean, we'll do that. We have a good system going, and so I'm already coming up with ideas for the next record.
Next record?
Yeah, we've been thinking through themes for the next record.
Yeah.
Is it going to be another well, this is probably too early, but is this going to be another concept release?
Yeah, it's just kind of what we're our bread and butter so far.
That's what we're doing.
Because like when you sent me the album, you were very specific to be like, you got to make sure to listen to all of these in order, and you gave me the broken up into 3 suites. And the first suite, from what not to try and tell you like what I think the storyline is, because I was going to have you guys explain that, but like specifically with the prologue with Man of Your Dreams, there is some changes happening in this character's life. More specifically, before that, what is or who is the Talented Son? Because that's the name of the record, Talented Son, for the listeners out there. It
starts off with a joke.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, my dad would always say, "I'm so bright, my parents call me son." And it's the biggest groaner joke ever.
It's a Brian Carey joke.
It's a Brian Carey joke. Yeah. Something his dad would probably say too.
It's a Jeff Wipf joke as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is I think it's hilarious. But obviously the joke is, son, S-U-N, S-O-N, whatever. So then I wrote the song Talented Son. And probably like, I think it's a humorous line, but the talented son is brighter than I could ever be. It's like the expectations that are put on you, the person people want you to grow up and be. That's like the talented son, you know. Obviously, coming from my perspective, you know, because it's pretty much just about me.
Okay, so it is a pretty autobiographical.
It is, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But I like to be very cryptic in my lyrics.
You definitely did nail it when you mentioned the word transition, because it is about the story of, you know, the talented son, but for all intents and purposes, we'll just say it's the story of Brett, and he's been in the same house since he was a kid.
Yeah,
this is the childhood home, this is the family home, and then, you know, a couple years ago saw both of his parents move out down to Kansas to follow a career, and then now it's to the point where this house is being sold.
Yeah,
or it has been sold.
It has been, yeah.
And
it
so
has been sold,
you're out of there, and so I think it's Brett kind of reflecting from the earliest of memories, all the way up through, wow, what has happened now that everything that I'm used to, and everything that was like fundamental to my upbringing and fundamental to my character, what does that mean about me now? That's no longer just a thing.
I mean, that's definitely like the personal side of it. My hope is that when people listen to it, they can picture themselves as the talented son, or whatever that means, whatever the character is for them. I don't know. I mean, what did you get out of it? What did you feel like there was a narrative that came about to you?
Yeah, because I tried to split it up. Because like there's like that the first suite I took as a lot of like some sort of change, or what did I write down here? Yeah, change and that kind of stuff with, you know, not talented son, man of your dreams, clouds, obviously seasons of change, which is kind of much more on the nose. And then the middle seemed like much more of a, I don't know if there's heartbreak or loss or some sort of like reflection. Maybe not reflection. That's kind of more the third movement is reflection with cacophony, reprise, and then talented son.
Yeah.
He's intuitive.
Yeah, very intuitive. Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing is I just hope people get whatever they want out of it, you know. I could go into like very specific detail, but I don't think I.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
That's not so much Brett Carey style. That's not the fashion.
Yeah, I guess the detail I will give is the first suite for me personally is childhood.
Okay.
The second suite is having a mental breakdown. And then the third suite is reflection, like you said. But, you know, yeah, I mean, it touches a lot of topics. It goes through, you know, it's basically like having cognitive dissonance in your life, or waking up and being like, oh man, like my life is so much different than I ever anticipated or expected. What do you do with that? You know, so like religion or family, friends, whatever that is, all of that, it just kind of goes through the different journeys of processing, and I don't know.
I think the biggest thing for me, being the person who probably saw these or heard these songs immediately, most of them like fresh out of his brain. I think for me, the overarching theme would be just expectations.
Yeah.
That others have for you. I mean, Brett already touched on this, but for me personally, it was a lot of like, I'm not even the same person that I was, 2 years ago. I'm far from that person.
Yeah.
And I'm far from the person I'm sure my folks expected me to be.
Yeah.
I'm far from the person that I expected to be. And that's just not good or bad, or neither here nor there.
Yeah.
It's just like I am who I am now.
Yeah.
And not some caricature that was projected onto me, either by myself or by the people around me. And I think it's, for me, this record is coming to terms with the fact that that's okay.
Which you very bluntly kind of, that's what the audience is greeted with Man of Your Dreams. It's like the opening line is making problems for yourself, or I can't remember it.
Make another problem and then you'll become a man.
And then it's something about like he likes the way you speak, but not the way you sing, and like this idea of there's one thing they like about you, but they don't like this, and it's just this kind of. Mm-hmm. It's just it was very interesting, and I really liked it. How it just
that one is it pretty much sets up the world that the character sees, around him, and like, it's very much about expectation, being a legitimate human being, whatever that looks like. But which I think Jordan and I have both gone through very similar processes.
Definitely,
with that. Yeah. So, but we're both legitimate.
Yeah, I don't think either of us are I've seen home movies. I know I'm legitimate. I'm just kidding.
So do you guys have any plans like set in stone for this record when it comes out in just over a month? Just over a month?
I don't even know.
I mean, we tell ourselves that we want to get more like PR rolling, and more like videos, even if not even like videos, but just vignettes, like quick little snippets, 15-second snippets of like a teaser.
Because like I know that's been kind of your guys' thing leading up to albums. It's just these really uncomfortable to look at things that just kind of grab your attention. You just go, what does this mean?
Yeah,
you start trying to connect the dots, the thumbtacks and string,
looking like a crazy person. We definitely have the abilities and the motivation to do things like that. It's just the time. And like I mean, I work for a media agency. I have access to the gear and that stuff like that, and.
You got a full-time job.
But then again, I'm at this media agency all the time working.
I work all the time, too.
Like, both of us work so much. And so we want to do some video vignettes, even if it's just like Brett being like, buy our album August 10th.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of tired of making people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's do something different.
Yeah.
But we do have plans with Karsten.
Okay.
And with... Did we rope Chris into that ever?
I have no idea. I don't know anymore.
Yeah, we want to do a full-on video for at least one song, probably "Man of Your Dreams."
And then I'm taking a break.
And then I'm gonna become the chief songwriter and guitarist and singer. Brett is gonna be exclusively on the vibraphone.
Okay.
Which we did use on this record. Did you pick that up?
I did.
I can't.
The vibra-slap.
Vibra-slap, though.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Where it's like a clap, but then it goes wah 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 wah.
Yeah.
So
I love that thing.
Yeah.
I love that thing. We should incorporate that more often.
Do you guys have any fun moments recording this record? Like last time you had a theremin start on fire. Any moments like that?
Golly. I
don't even know.
Funny moments, notable moments. It was a pretty... I think the moment that stands out to me most about this is just Brett's reaction to the conception of Clouds.
Okay.
We already talked about it, but he was like, he put his guitar and he had to take a minute to like walk back and forth and think about what he had just done. Like he had, because we had been playing it, and pretty much what you hear on the record is pretty much like the second run through of what we had done.
Yeah.
And like we're like, okay, I like that.
We recorded that session took like half an hour because you recorded Seasons Change and Clouds.
Yeah.
And you just knocked them out right away.
Mm-hmm. And I think because we had just finished playing it after we'd kind of gotten the idea, and Brett goes, I love that song and I'm so angry.
Yeah.
And so he had to like set the guitar down. I just kind of sat on the phone, on the drums, and texted or did whatever I do. Just waited for him to cool off after he had realized the thing he had just done. And it was funny because he knew right away that it worked. Yeah. But he hated that it worked. Yeah. And that stands out to me.
That changed everything.
Yeah.
Now I just want to write pop music.
Right. We are the 1976.
I don't know.
Yeah. This was a very straightforward record for the most part. The process, it was... I mean, we goof off enough like when we're not doing music stuff that when we are doing music stuff, it's pretty business as usual.
Yeah.
It's also because we're just super professional about what we do.
I mean, in a way, kind of. Like, we just get to the point.
Yeah, we don't waste time. Okay, no, we waste time. But we're very, very intentional about the time that we waste.
Yeah. That's a very good way of putting it.
I don't know if it's a good way of putting it, but it's a way of putting it.
I get what you mean. Yeah. But
so August 10th is when we're going to be moving this sucker.
I have cassettes of not of this one.
Okay.
But we'll do cassettes.
We're gonna do cassettes of this. You've got cassettes of Deer's Feet, right?
Yeah, I have 100 copies of The Possession of the Deer's Feet, which I actually like more than Worst Calligraphy. I just want that to be known.
I would say, I mean, it's weirder.
Different. It's just like random.
Yeah.
It's so random.
Possession of the Deer's Feet. I was going to listen to it on the way here, but I was like, I have to listen to Talented Son at least one more time just so I have it keep fresh. Mm-hmm. But I was just...
Well, you and me both.
I just remember listening to Possession the first time. I go, what's happening?
Yeah. And you and I were in radio news at the same time, and you're like, you had legitimate questions the next day in class. You're like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And I'm like, dude, I don't get it either. Brett, I just got off the phone with Brett, and he told me he's going to release an EP today, and that I knew nothing about. Yeah, but that story's been told.
Because I didn't quite know you were the drummer yet, so I didn't quite crap talk it, but I was like, I just don't understand. Right. And then I was, oh no, I said the wrong thing to the wrong person.
I got a kick out of it, and at no point felt offended. But
I don't think anyone liked it.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Do you still not like it? Bless you.
I haven't thought about it since about April 2017. So.
Yeah. I just remember I got like texts from friends being like, that was weird. And I was
Who hurt you as a child?
I was like, oh, thanks. I was like, I don't know. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
And I got on cassette because it was cheaper.
Yeah. And cassettes, I think that's definitely our market. It's the cassette users. Because vinyl made their comeback. It's time for the old reel-to-reel to make its comeback.
It's cheaper than vinyl.
Yes. But yes, August 10th.
August 10th.
Shooting for.
All right.
Yeah.
And look forward to Brett's solo stuff coming too.
I don't know
about the Star Planet.
Story of the Star Planet.
That's gonna be
Star Planet Odyssey.
That's gonna be Elise and I Star Planet.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that.
You can pre-order The Talented Son on iTunes.
Yeah, it's on iTunes.
It's not on Bandcamp to pre-order yet.
It should be. I'll upload it soon.
Okay.
I don't know.
But yeah, on August 10th it'll be on all your major music distributors.
We're getting
Google
less
Play,
and less
Spotify.
professional as we go along.
Yeah, we're kind of starting with iTunes, and now we're kind of tracking back to Bandcamp and SoundCloud. Not actually, but... And now you know, because this is Ear Coffee.
All right, well, thank you, gentlemen.
We are Calvin Heights. And you're listening to
Song
Coffee.
Is this Song Exploder?
Who is this? Coffee. You're Rishkishwe.
The album Talented Son will be out on August 10th, and you can pre-order it on iTunes. Also, make sure to check out the band Calvin Heights on Spotify and on Bandcamp, where you can find more of their music and most of their back catalog. My name's Joe Keyport, and I will see you guys next Wednesday.